Good morning, gentlemen. Jai Hind. I am Brigadier Vidyasagar, served in the army for 32 years in Corps of Engineers, Bombay Sappers. Finally retired in 2004, March. Since the last 17 years, I have settled down in Secunderabad. We have an ex-serviceman association by name Tri-Services Ex-Servicemen Welfare Association, in short T-Seva. T-Seva was raised in Secunderabad in 2015. In the last 6 years, because of the good work done by this association, we have been able to enroll almost 14,700 members, not only from various states in the country, but also from 8 foreign countries. T-Seva's mission is basically to redress the grievances of ex-servicemen. For this, we felt we must try and educate the ex-servicemen, whether they are JSOs, officers, JSOs who are their family pensioners. The education primarily is about pensions. If you get your entitled pension, you are happy. During our various awareness programs held at many places, the questions are mostly on two subjects. One is pension, second is the disability pension. The type of clarifications the ex-servicemen seek from T-Seva: sir, I am a disabled soldier, but I have not been given a disability pension. What should I do? Another clarification is, I've been awarded only 20% disability for an injury, but for a similar injury, another person has been awarded 60%. Why injustice to me? Another clarification is, I have been invalidated out of army just with less than 5 years service. Am I entitled for invalid pension? An officer's wife went right up to Supreme Court and she said, my husband was commanding officer of an 80 battalion in J&K and he died, but the death is in operational area, so I should be given liberalized family pension. The Supreme Court on inquiry told her, Madam, your husband has died in J&K in sleep, peacefully. Had he been on a duty, yes, definitely you would have got a liberal family pension. So there are a lot of ignorance about disability pensions, invalid pension and war injured pension. So T-Seva felt it is better to clarify all these doubts with the help of a MS PowerPoint slides. So I have been given this task. So like a true soldier, I am giving this presentation with the help of MS PowerPoint slides. Let us see how we are going to make this presentation. I am going to cover this subject in the following sequence. We firstly find out what are the types of disabled soldiers, how many are there, and what are the types of disability pension. Second, we will see when will a soldier is granted disability pension. Next, what are the various categories or circumstances under which disability pension is granted? Amounts of the disability pension for various types of disability. Intervention by courts of law in support of disabled soldiers. Here I want to tell you, since 2006, when 6th CPC has enhanced the disability elements substantially, large number of cases are filed in the various courts, AFTs or High Courts or Supreme Court. PCD Pension Allahabad has also issued large number of circulars on disability pension. We will see how the courts have intervened and given justice to the ex-servicemen. The disability percentages are now broad-banded to 3 categories, which I will explain to you. Mistakes are made both by the units as well as by the disabled soldiers. This also we will cover at the end. Now you see, there are various types of disabled soldiers. I was under the impression there is only one disabled soldier. Those of us who all served in the units or commanded the units know we have two categories of soldiers in the unit. One is a shape 1, like I am a shape 1 soldier. I went to army in shape 1, came out of the army luckily in shape 1. So I am not a disabled soldier. So I don't get any disabled element. I am paying, on the other hand, income tax of 21,000 rupees per month. Everybody has to pay income tax if you are in the income tax bracket. So I have no quibs about it. But in the unit we have other category of soldiers whom we call as LMC, low medical category. Now this low medical category is basically of two types. One is a low medical category because a soldier has sustained an injury or he contracted a disease. So we sent him to the military hospital. The medical board decides, yes, he is a low medical category, but we will treat him for 6 months. Then we will see what his injury is going to be. So they downgrade his medical category from shape 1 to, depending upon the injury, to another category, maybe A3, maybe P3, like that, E3. So during those 6 months, he is not eligible for promotion if he comes in the promotion zone. That is a disadvantage. If he is nominated as an officer to go to staff college, he will not be sent. The second category of the LMC is a permanent low medical category. The medical board feels this gentleman is not likely to improve, so they permanently make him LMC. So we call him LMC permanent. And the problem is he doesn't get any benefit in the army. Only thing is he is not posted to difficult areas like high altitude areas, Chechen, or uncongenial areas in the northeast, or hot areas like in J&K, in Rajasthan. These are the only benefits he gets. But at the time of his retirement, when the release medical board is held, they will award him a certain percentage. Earlier it used to be 20, 30, 40, right up to 100. Now it's all gone. They got only 3 bands, 50% band, 75% band and 100% band, which I will explain. Now, normal disability soldiers come under the category B. Now what is category A? Category A are those soldiers who sustained injury or who contracted disease not because of military duties. What they call it as not attributable nor aggravated by military service. In short, it is known as NA. That is A. Now, if a soldier has sustained an injury or contracted disease due to the military service, he comes under this category B. These are all given in the Defence Pension Regulation 2008, Part 1, Regulation number 82. If you have time, open this document. You can download from internet and go through it. Next, disabled soldiers with a liberalized disability pension. This is a normal disability pension, this is liberalized. That means if B category soldier sustained injury in a normal peace station or modified field area under normal conditions, peacetime conditions, then he is known as disabled soldier category B. Now, if this disabled soldier, whether on duty or not on duty, but he suffers certain injuries in non-operational areas where there were riots, where there was a violent action by mobs, where there were bomb blasts like in Hyderabad, in Gokul Chat and Lumbini Park few years back by the terrorists. In those conditions, if the individual, while on duty or not even on duty, he will be classified as a disabled soldier with a liberalized disability pension. This is category D. Next. Now we see the invalidated soldiers. Now what is invalidated soldiers? Colloquially in the units we used to call them as boarded out cases. Boarded out means an individual while serving in the armed forces, suffer certain disability, the medical board in the military hospital or base hospital or command hospital or even R&R hospital, they are of the opinion that the disability he has sustained as a Nana case, not on military duty, not attributable, not aggravated, but his disability is such that he is not fit for army duties, he is sent out or boarded out. That medical board has told him you are out. So we call it boarded out cases. Next, if an individual has suffered an injury and that is attributable or aggravated by military service while performing military duties, and his disability is of such a percentage that he is not fit for military duties, then he is also invalidated. That is known as invalidated. Type B. Now type C, disability sustained due to accidents while going in a convoy or riding a motorcycle, he sustains. He is also, this is while performing military duties, so he also comes under the invalid category. Next. War injury. Now there are 9 types of war injury which I will cover later. There are basically the 2 types. One is a war injured soldiers but retained in service. Now all of you or most of you may know General Vijay Oberoi as a young officer sustained an injury in 65 of war, but he was retained in service because it is a war injury. He kept on getting his promotions and you all know he retired as a Vice Chief of Army Staff. Lieutenant General Y.N. Sharma, while commanding Grenadier Battalion in 71 war, his jeep went over an anti-tank mine, the jeep went up, came down and his leg was amputated. He is 100% war injured, so he was allowed to continue in the service and he rose to the rank of a Army Commander and retired finally as a Central Army Commander. General Pankaj Joshi, he was my DSM, DSSC 41 staff course in Wellington in 1985. He lost both his limbs, yet he used to cycle and he rose to the rank of a Chief of Integrated Defence Staff in the rank of an Army Commander. Then you all know about Major General Ian Cardozo from Gurkhas in the East Pakistan in 71 war. He stepped on an anti-personnel mine, his foot was dangling, he took his kukri and cut it. So he rose to the rank of a Major General and then he retired. So these are the war injured soldiers and they are permitted to continue in the service. There could be very few, very few, you can count them on fingertips, who say, no Saab, I have been war injured, I want to go home. Then they are known as invalidated soldiers. They get a higher pension. We will see how much they get. Next. Now, there are 2 conditions for getting a disability pension. Those who ask us this question, Saab, mujhe disability pension kyun nahi mila? The answer is, firstly, your injury or the disease you contracted has to be attributed to military service. What does it mean? I'll explain in 2 simple sentences. One is, you are in the unit, you are performing a military duty. As an officer, you got injured, then it is attributable to military service. Or you are playing inter-company basketball competition, you are injured. So these are all attributed or aggravated by military service. So first condition is met. So you have been granted the term aggravated or attributed to military service. The second, when you go to the military hospital, you are given a percentage. Earlier, as I mentioned, 20 to 100% in terms of 10, 10, 10, but now that's all gone. It is now from 1996 January, 5th CPC said this 20, 30, 40, 50 is leading to a lot of court cases. So there is a medical discrimination. We will now have only 3 bands. Anything from 20 to 49 is 50%, 50 to 75 is 75, 76 and above 100%, which I will cover a little later. So your percentage has to be 20. The medical officers are very, very difficult to handle. Their main intention is to reduce this disability. So in the beginning, they used to say, heart attack, sorry, this is your constitutional. That means in your body this problem was there. It is nothing to do with the military service. Renal failure or kidney failure, sorry, no. Even diabetes, no. Seizures, epilepsy, no. Schizophrenia, no. These are not attributed or aggravated by military service. I will come to the next slide where I will tell you what does it mean. These two terms are very important. You keep coming across in the PCDA pension circulars on a casualty pensionary awards. Now, normal disabled soldier, invalid disabled soldier, war injured disabled soldier, they're all classified under casualty pensionary awards of the PCDA Pension Allahabad circulars. So, what is firstly attributable? Attributable means you were performing military duty. While performing the military duty, you became injured or you contracted a disease. Now, all of those who served in certain difficult areas in the northeast, some of them has contracted bronchial asthma. Some of them has contracted cerebral malaria. These are known as the diseases which you contract in those untangibl areas. So, that is attributed to military service. Now, what is aggravated? Aggravated means when you had a small injury, like a typical army officer or naval or air force officer, oh yeah, kuch bhi nahi hai, chalega. So slowly, that keeps on becoming bigger and bigger, like cancerous cells, and finally you will not be able to even walk. So that is known as aggravated. Because of your military service, because you have not taken maybe care, or you are not aware that this is a problem, so this gets aggravated. That's why it is known as aggravated by military service. These are the two conditions which has to be met. Second, 20% as I mentioned to you. So, after 1996, when 5th CPC gave this broadbanding benefit, 22, 49 is 50%. So many disabled soldiers started going to the courts of law. In those days, there is no AFT, they used to go to High Court, then they used to go to Supreme Court. Now, as I mentioned, largest number of circulars issued by PCDA Pension Allahabad is in one subject, that is casualty pensionary awards. The disabled element in the good old days of 67 and earlier than that was a very small amount of, for officers it is 150 rupees per month for 100% disability. Now everybody is not declared as 100% disabled, so it is generally 20%. Now 20% means 1/5. Now for 150 rupees for 100%, 20% means 1/5, that is just 30 rupees. So, if you are already getting a pension of 450 rupees, you don't bother for this 30 rupees because there is a lot of running around. You got to go to the medical board, then from one medical specialist to another specialist to another specialist. So many of us, we get fed up with that and says, "Bhai, chodo yaar, kya karna hai?" But now it has gone up considerably. So everybody wants disability pension. Here I want to make one comment. The DGFMS, who comes directly under the Minister of Defence, has written a duo letter directly to the Defence Secretary saying, my armed forces medical doctors are being pressurized by senior officers of the rank of Major General, Lieutenant General, Army Commanders, declare me as a disabled soldier. So, Army Headquarters sent one unsigned letter to Ministry of Defence. Oh, disabled soldiers also should be taxed so that the claims for disability pension will come down. Now in the record time, the Minister of Defence and Minister of Finance issued a circular by the CBDT saying that disabled soldiers also will be taxed. Then there was a lot of public uproar. Then after 2 years, the Ministry of Finance has withdrawn that circular. Now disabled soldiers are not being taxed income tax. So next. You see, when the medical board says, no, you are not disabled soldier, the Supreme Court came to the rescue. What it said is, when a soldier is being enrolled into the army as a Sipahi, if he is not found to have any disability, anything occurring thereafter in the military service is treated as attributable or aggravated by military service. So, if a soldier or an officer suffers a heart attack, it is because of the stress and strain. So, this judgment of 2013 has helped many disabled soldiers to get their disability element. Then Supreme Court also said that casual leave is also duty. Okay. So, if an individual, an officer is sanctioned casual leave, he leaves the unit lines, travels by train or bus and reaches home. Before he reaches home, if he sustains an injury, that is attributable or aggravated by military duty, because this duration of travel from unit lines to the home is considered as duty. In a similar manner, if an individual on completion of casual leave leaves his home, steps out of the home, gets into an auto rickshaw, or a car or a taxi, goes to the railway station or the bus stand, then catches a bus or a train, reaches his unit lines. In this duration from leaving the home to arriving at the unit, if there is an injury, this injury is also attributed or aggravated by military service. Next. You see, what generally is done, whenever a soldier is injured in the unit due to organized games or performing military duty, first thing a unit does is send him to the MI room of the unit. From there he is taken to the military hospital. So, if the military hospital declares him as low medical category, a court of inquiry is required to be convened by the unit. They will declare whether this injury is attributable or aggravated by military service. The recommendation of the court of inquiry is sent to the formation commander. He may approve it. This is the first requirement whenever a soldier is injured or contracts a disease. This is what the courts have been saying. When the doctors say, no, this is not attributable, the courts have been saying, look, you are a doctor. You say this is a disease, this percentage is 20, 30, 40, whatever it is. You are not the authority to say it is attributable or not attributable. It is the court of inquiry which collects a lot of data and then they finally declare, and so you cannot overrule the opinion of the court of inquiry. So court of inquiry proceedings are very, very important. So kindly tell your friends in the armed forces, if they are officers, please have a copy of a court of inquiry so that will help you in future. Typical babus in the Ministry of Defence issue an order. Now what is the order? When the 5th CPC said this medical discrimination of 20, 30, 40 is not acceptable to us, it will be only 50 band, 75% band, 100% band. 5th CPC never mentioned to whom it has to be given, whom not to be given. They said it has to be 3 bands, that's all. But as usual, the civilians, who is a desk officer, maybe of the rank of a Naib Subedar, he is the government of India. He says this is only from January 1996, that too only to invalidated soldiers, nobody else. It goes to the Under Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Joint Secretary, Additional Secretary, Secretary, Defense Minister, everybody signs. So finally the Government of India is a desk officer. Now, the invalidated soldiers pre-1996, they said, what is the crime we have committed? If we have retired earlier, it's not our fault. So we must get, the courts intervened, they have directed the government that benefit should be given to pre-1996 invalidated soldiers. Seeing that the normal disabled soldiers are the event, I will come to that. It's a Ram Avatar case versus Air India. Some of the times you don't understand, I have not understood why our AMC officers are so rigid. I have come across cases where the disability percentage is 19%. 19%. In this case, one guy was awarded 15%. He went to court. The court said, called the Central Government Standing Council. They asked him a simple question. Please show us a meter by which you are able to say this is 15, this is 20, this is 30, this is 40. He says, sir, I am not a doctor. He says, get the bloody doctor. So they got hold of an armed forces doctor. They asked him the same question. The doctor said, no sir, it is my experience. I said, but no experience. You people want to deny this disability a pension to the soldier. So it will be from 15%, it will be enhanced to 20%. Then automatically due to broadbanding it becomes 50. But the government order has not yet come. This is just a latest development by the courts. Next. Now, procedure for a grant of disability, which I have already explained. Court of inquiry is very, very essential. Next. Disabled soldiers of any rank, right from Sipai to Chief of Army Staff, they have to go in front of a release medical board. They find out whether the disease or injuries you sustain in your service career is attributable or aggravated by military service. And if you have a court of inquiry that supports your contention, it is attributable, then they award percentage. Now either it is 50 or 75 or 100. Okay. Now what happens? The RMB, I have seen, they don't give you a disability for life. They say this disability is a borderline. You may be able to become a shape 1 provided you take these medicines. So you take these medicines for 2 years, maybe 3 years, sometimes 5 years. So you only get the disability pension for this 2 to 5 years. We get a cases. साहब मुझे 2 साल disability pension मिला, बंद हो गया. So straight away we come to know that this was a temporary medical disability. This guy did not go for resurvey medical board, RSMB. So they stop. So this is a very important point. If you are a disabled soldier and have been granted only for 2 to 5 years, before the 2 years expires, you must write to, as an army officer, to MP 5 and 6. They will direct the local MH, which is closest to your place of residence, to carry out resurvey medical board. Then you may be graded disabled soldier for life. You may be again given a temporary for another 2 to 5 years. So please bear this point in mind. Last is, they say we have given you medicines for 2 years or 5 years. You are now perfectly alright. There is nothing wrong with you. So you become like me, a shape 1 soldier. Then it is known as Nana Khatam. So your disability pension, what you earned for 2 years is over, and now you are a shape 1 soldier. You pay no income tax also. Next. This I have already told you. Next. This I have already told you. Now this is the broadbanding. So if your disability awarded by the medical board is up to 49%, it is broadbanded to 50. 50 to 75 is 75%. If it is 76 and above, it is 100%. Now this is the case which I wanted to explain to you in little detail. When invalid soldiers pre-96 also got a benefit of broadbanding, Ramavatar, I do not know his rank, maybe officer, maybe JSO, maybe Sipai, maybe NCO. He went to AFT and said, "Sir, I am a disabled soldier. What is the difference between me and an invalidated soldier? He is also disabled. Only thing is his disability percentage was much higher. That's why he went out. But I am also a disabled soldier. Why I should not be given a benefit of broadbanding?" The AFTs agreed, yes. So seeing Ramavatar, 800 people also joined in various AFTs. The government felt भाई ये बहुत serious case हो गया. They challenged the judgment of the AFT awarded in favor of Ramavatar in the Honorable Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, look, there is nothing legally infirm about this case. There is no legal infirmity. So you pay disability element to all the disabled soldiers irrespective of their date of retirement. When this broadbanding came, it came in January 1996 thanks to 5th CPC. So if any soldier retired any time, he might have retired in 87, but your broadbanding will only take place from January 1996 or date of retirement if you have retired after 96. Next. So this is the Ramavatar case which I just now explained to you. In your spare time, you read this. I will explain these two terms. What is in rem, what is in personam? When the courts give a judgment, they give two types of judgment. Sometimes the judgment is in personam. That means a person who has appeared before the court pleaded that injustice has been done to him, the court gives him benefit, and that is only to that particular individual. You can't say usko jo mil gaya to mujhe bhi milega. That is in personam. Most of the times what legal judgments I have seen, there are mostly in personam. So don't think other guy gets, you will also get a benefit. No, you have not gone to the court, so you will not get the benefit. Now what is the interim? Sometimes the courts say, why don't we give universal benefit, whether a guy has appeared before us in the court or not. If we don't give interim, what will happen? Another 10 people will come, another 20 people will come, another 40 people will come. Our cases will keep on bloating up. So, khatam karo yaar, sabko lagu hai. Whether a guy has come in front of the court or has not come in front of the court, he will get this benefit. That is interim. But let me tell you, most of the times, courts don't give interim judgment. So, usko mila, mujhe bhi milega is not applicable in rem. In rem mein milega. But in personam, only person ke liye milega, not everybody. Next. So this I have already told you. T-Seva, when we found Ramavatar has won the case, we filed 3 broadbanding cases in the AFT Delhi. Total 414 were the petitioners. All 414 petitioners got broadbanding arrears. Now I want to tell you a simple case. The legal fees charged by T-Seva is the minimum. 1,000 rupees from a Sipai, he got a benefit of 1.75 lakh rupees. He doesn't have to go to AFT. He sits at home. He signs 2 documents. One Wakalatnama, another undertaking that he has not filed a similar case in any other court. Rest all the donkey's work is done by T-Seva and their advocate. This is the advantage of you guys. If you feel injustice has been done to you, please come to T-Seva. At least 50 people should be there. Otherwise, legal cost goes up very high. So 50 of you come to T-Seva, we'll get you the justice for you. Otherwise, if you go individually to an advocate, there are 2 problems. No advocate nowadays touches an officer case if you don't pay anything less than 50,000 rupees. In our case, it may be 5,000, maybe 10,000 rupees. Second, every time your case comes up in the AFT, you have to go from your native place to the AFT and appear along with your advocate. So these are the problems. So better come to T-Seva. Next. A disability pension, when you say What is it? What does it mean? It has got two components. Please understand this very carefully. One is the service element. Suppose you are a disabled soldier and you have been awarded, let us say, broadband 50%. You get two elements. One, service element for the service you have rendered. Let us say you are a lieutenant colonel. You have put in 22 years of service. So whatever is your pension for the 22 years service, you get under the category of service element. Now you are also disabled. Depending upon your percentage, you will get a disability element. These are known as the elements: service element, disability element. When you get this service element and disability element, this is known as the disability pension. You are exempted from payment of income tax. So you save. Next. Now, just see, prior to December 2005, the officer's disability element in 1967 was 150 rupees for 100% disability. If you have suffered 20%, that is 1/5, divide by 5, you get 30 rupees. If your pension is already 450, do you bother about this 30? That's why the people till December 2005, whether you are an officer, JSO or what, they never bothered about disability element. They are happy not going through various medical specialists. But now it is not so. Next. So then they said if the percentage is like this, war के लिए इतना मिलेगा, JSOs के लिए इतना मिलेगा, officers के लिए इतना मिलेगा. So next. Again, various percentages. So now from 150 rupees before 67, it has become 5,880. It's a big amount. So people will go and say, "Bhai, मुझे भी disability a pension दे दो." Next. Now, disability, invalid, war, injury elements. If you are a disabled soldier, you have a service element and disability element. If you are an invalid soldier, you will only get invalid pension. If you are war injured, you will get both elements. That is service element for the service you have rendered and war injury element for the injury you suffered in the war. Till December 2005, things were different. Disability element kept getting enhanced by each CPC from 3rd CPC, 4th CPC up to 5th CPC. Before 67, as I mentioned, it was 150 rupees for 100% disability. If you are disabled for 20%, it is just 30 rupees. So you never bothered. But now, when the 6th CPC enhanced the disability element substantially, what happens? They said, no, this earlier method, it is very simple. Whether you are an officer, you are a JSO, you are a war, whatever is your last reckonable emoluments drawn, L red, last reckonable emoluments drawn. What are they? Generally it is pay in pay band, grade pay, MSP. All JSOs, OR officers have this 6 CPC and 7 CPC also. So that L red, whatever is the last reckonable emoluments drawn, in the case of a war of the beneficiaries, that means those who retired prior to January 2013, their pensions have been enhanced by WAR-OP. So, if you don't know LRET, it is simple. WAR-OP pension multiplied by 2 is your last reckonable emoluments drawn. Next. Now, this is what I mentioned to you. Pay in pay band, grade pay, MSP. Now, in the post 2016, the 7th CPC, this pay in pay band, grade pay has been combined and it is known as a matrix pay. And MSP was there earlier. Now MSP is 15,500 rupees for officers, only from lieutenant to brigadier. General officers are not entitled for this MSP of 15,500. That's why today Major General, Lieutenant General are getting less pay in service than a brigadier, less pension in retirement than a brigadier. Next. Now you see, because of the number of disability cases going in front of the courts of law have been very benevolent. The number of government sanctions for such cases has gone up to 59,190 from 2016 only in the last 5 years. Almost every year, 12,000 on the average are getting a disability pension. Now, disability element, if it is not less than 60%, there is a condition. That condition is whatever your last reckonable emoluments drawn or LD, one and the same, your service element and disability element, which is known as the disability pension, should not be less than 60%. That is the condition, but generally it is always above 60% of last drawn emoluments. So if it is in the case of pre-2013, it is a pay band, grade pay, MSP in 6th CPC, or in the case of 7th CPC, it will be matrix pay plus MSP. This is known as the last drawn emoluments. So which I have already explained. Next. Invalid pension. What is invalid pension? As I mentioned, invalidment takes place when a guy was in the armed forces but he sustained an injury when he was not on duty. So this is known as a NANA. So the medical board feels his injury is so serious, he is not fit for armed forces, he is boarded out. He can be boarded out in 1 day, he can be boarded out in 10 years, he can be boarded out after completing his pensionable service. It is a NANA, but he is invalidated, sent out of the army. This can also happen in individual while performing military duty, a sustained injury, and injury is so serious, the medical board says you are unfit for military duties, you go out. Then also you get an invalidment. So you will get invalid pension. The condition for invalid pension is if your service is above 10 years but less than 15 years, you will get invalid pension at the rate of 6 months of your last drawn emolument per year. But if your service is less than 10 years but above 5 years, you get only invalid gratuity. The invalid gratuity is, I just now mentioned, 6 months last drawn emolument per year of service. Whereas in the case, if your service is more than 10 years, then you get invalid pension like any other soldier, your service element and disability element. Prior to 71 war, even the war-injured soldiers were given the option of invalidment. That means you want to serve, most welcome to serve, but you are unwilling to serve, here is the invalidment. Very, very few people take up this invalidment. So it is more or less, it's not there. 10 lakh rupees is the gratuity for officers. Next. This I have already explained. Next. War injury pension, there are 9 types. Under 9 conditions you get a war injury. 1, during laying or clearing of mines, including enemy mines or any mine sweeping operations. On account of accidental explosions of mines while mine laying operations. Warlike situation, extremist acts, exploding mines while on the way to an operational area, battle inoculation or training exercises, an act of violence by the extremists, border skirmishes like it happens between India and China, enemy action in war, kidnapping by extremists while on operational duties, it happens once in a while, action against extremist antisocial elements. Next is action during deployment abroad in peacekeeping missions, operations specifically notified by the government of India. This is Operation Parakram, Operation Pavan, Operation Meghdoot. Like they get this benefit. Next, as I mentioned, the duration of disability could be temporary, could be permanent, 2 to 5 years. Temporary. Next. War injury pension, I mentioned to you, under 9 conditions, you can be declared as a war injured soldier. Next. There are 2 types, as I mentioned to you. You can be retained in the service, you can be invalidated. Now, if you are retained in service, what happens? Whatever is your disability, whatever may be the disability, 100% you are disabled, 60% of your last drawn emoluments is your disability element. Whereas in the normal, it is always 30%. Normal disability 30, but you are war injured, so it is double. For example, a lieutenant colonel, he has been awarded 60% disability. What happens? This 60 is broadbanded to 75%. And his emoluments, let us say, is 1,85,000 at the time of his retirement. So 60% of this is his disability element. So he gets 83,250 in addition to his service element for whatever the service is put in, and income tax is exempted. Now this is in the case of retained in service. Suppose if he says, "Sab, mujhe to kaam nahi karna hai, I want to go home," then in that case he is given 100% of last drawn emolument as his war injury. Again, we take the case of this lieutenant colonel, 60% he was graded. So that automatically is broadbanded to 75%. And his emoluments were 1,85,000. So 100% means he will get 1,38,750 is war injury element. That's why the cases have gone up after January 2006. Why should you lose this kind of money? And on top of that, you don't have to pay income tax. That is the advantage. Next. I mentioned earlier people were not bothered because the amounts were very small. Now it has gone up substantially. Next. Okay. If you are 100% disabled, whether peacetime, modified field area, higher altitude area, wherever you are disabled, your disability is 100%. Need not be war injured. Normal disability, but 100%. You get a constant attendant allowance. You see, when you say 100%, that means you are wheelchair bound. You can only lie down. You need somebody to assist you, even to take you to washroom. So they say you need an attendant. But this amount is so small. Who will come for 6,750 rupees per month? But government has given this 100% disabled soldiers this benefit. And earlier it was 4,500. And now it has gone up to 6,750. Now, in the 7th CPC, they may increase it further. Next. Liberalized disability pension, I said, in a non-operational area, but activities are again anti-terrorist, then shooting, bomb blast, then you get liberalized disability pension. In this case, only the advantage is no minimum service is required. One day also you get liberalized disability pension. Next. Now you have to understand how your disability element is calculated, which I did not deliberately tell you in the beginning. The rule position is, if you have sustained 100% disability, you are given a disability element 30% of last drawn emolument. For example, nowadays even lieutenant colonel in the army draws a last drawn emolument of 1.8 lakhs to 2 lakhs rupees. Suppose if his last drawn emolument is 2 lakh rupees, for 100% disability it is 30%, that is 60,000 rupees. Suppose you are being given broadbanded to 50%, your disability limit is half of that 60,000. So firstly work out your disability limit for 100% disability, and then based upon percentage, 50 divided by 2, 100 there is no division, 75 it is in between 50 and 100. That's how the disability limit is calculated. As I mentioned to you, calculate for 100%. If you don't know your last drawn emolument, like some of the officers, they do approach us, we tell him your last drawn emolument is nothing but your pension multiplied by 2 times. Suppose if your last drawn pension is 1 lakh rupees, most of the lieutenant colonels and above are drawing this kind of a pension. It is 2 lakh rupees, so it is 60,000 rupees is your last drawn emolument for 100%. Always remember this. But if you are given 100%, yes, you will get this much. But if you are given, let us say 20, 30, which is broadbanded to 50, then it is 30,000 rupees. Then income tax is exempted on both your service element and disability element. Now I don't want to mention his name. I don't know why he doesn't like disabled soldiers. He questioned, why should not this disabled soldier pay income tax on the service element? I agree, he has suffered disability. Yes, we want to give him some concession. You take your disability element and the government is happy to give you exemption from income tax. Okay, enjoy that benefit. I am not against that. But I am against you not paying income tax. I am a shapeman, whatever is rank, army commander or chief. I am a shape one. I am paying the service element. You are also getting service element. Why you can't pay income tax? At least pay something here. That is his argument. But generally, I am not a disabled soldier. I have sympathy. यार मुझे नहीं मिलता है बेनिफिट, उसको मिल रहा है तो मुझे क्या तकलीफ है? Why I am crying about that fellow? Let him enjoy. Next. The dispute between a disabled soldier and the medical board will many a time will take place if the disabled soldier feels the medical board has been too tough with him. They have not granted him any disability, though he suffered injury. So he has 2 chances to bring his grievance to the authorities. One is the army. It is the adjutant general who will adjudicate the matter between the medical board and the disabled soldier. If the disabled soldier is able to produce a copy of the coat of inquiry, that's why I am saying, tell the serving soldiers today that whenever a disability coat of inquiry is held, he must get a copy. And if that copy says it is attributable to military service, he will win the case. So, court of inquiry proceedings is mandatory. The adjutant general may agree and give him disability pension, or he may rule it out. It can happen. If it is ruled out by the AG, then you go to the appellate board. It is chaired by the Raja Raksha Mantri. Next. Okay, we have observed when the disabled soldiers come to us in T-Seva, many mistakes are committed. Some by the units, mostly by the disabled soldiers. What is the mistake committed? I understand, I have seen, and most of you might have seen, the units are very, very busy, especially in J&K and Northeast. They have no time for anything else. A soldier gets injured, they forget to have a coat of inquiry. Then this poor soldier doesn't get any benefit. As I mentioned, mandatory document is your coat of inquiry. That is the first thing they do. Now, in a war or warlike situation, as it is prevailing in J&K and Northeast, if a soldier is or an officer is injured, that is a war injury. But you have to have a DO Part 2 saying that this officer, while serving in this area, on so and so date, was fired upon by the terrorists or insurgents, and this injury is sustained, and he was admitted in the ADS or military hospital or whatever it is. You don't have in the first information in your 6 o'clock in the morning you send a report to the higher headquarters. If you don't mention it, then there is a problem. So at the time of RSMB, Release Medical Board, if they give you for 2 years only, then you are required to appear before that recategorized medical board. Many people don't go there. They think that they have got for life. It is not so. Then they come and tell us, sir, मेरा disability pension बंद हो गया. बंद तो होगा ना. You are supposed to go before, and they may give you lifelong disability, or they may say another 2 more years or 5 years. These are the mistakes people commit. Next. Courts of law, as I told you, they go not by medical board about attributability or aggravation, they go by the court of inquiry because that's more authentic. This I mentioned to you, he delays. So if you feel that injustice has been done, go to the, if you are an army officer, go to the AG, then to the Raja Raksha Mantri. Court have, as I mentioned to you, courts have ruled that even 15% is to be treated as 20%, then broadband at 50. Next. See, DO Part 2 order is very much essential. If an individual has been declared disabled for life, you have to publish a DO Part 2. If you don't publish, then this poor guy may not get there. This I mentioned to you. This also I mentioned to you. Conclusion, I want to say, it is not worth to become a disabled soldier just to get a disability element and exemption from payment of income tax. I am paying 21,000 rupees per month as income tax. Happily, everybody has to pay, so there is no crib. But I would not like to lose my hand or a leg or an eye just for this disability element and income tax. So stay healthy, be happy. This is also to wish you once again a belated Happy New Year. May God bless all of you with tons of happiness. But most important, health. After this, you know, health is the most important thing in the world. Thank you, bye-bye, good day, Jai Hind.